believe this quote, actions speak louder than words. And in my introduction, the power of actions speak louder than words. I am going to challenge that quote. Because I truly believe it's not actually the actions, I believe the words. When the words are matched with our actions, the words speak loudest. They truly do. I'll give you an example. I'm in my car driving, minding my own business. Out of nowhere comes a truck, cuts me off, almost causing an accident. I do what any respectable citizen would do. I lay on that horn. The gentleman in the truck decides to put his hand out his window and show me a finger. I decide to honor that salutation by showing him one of my fingers. Probably wasn't a good idea to show that level of maturity in front of my 10-year-old son. I said, son, don't you ever do that. 2 days later, I get a call from his parents saying, guess what? He gave another child that same finger. My words were not backed up with my action. Have you ever felt the urge to ask a child this question? What were you thinking? Raise your hand if you know such a child. Okay, raise your hand if you were that child. Okay, raise your hand if you've ever been a child. Wouldn't it be nice if we could read a child's mind? Wouldn't it be nice if we could be like Spock, being able to read a person's mind? But we can't. The truth is, children will do and say things that force us to ask that exact question. What were you thinking? Right? Right. I'll give you an example. Grade 1 teacher is asking her grade 1 student these quotes. This is the participation part of my presentation. You can finish these quotes. So let's go with the first one. Better be safe than? Sorry. This student said, punch a 5th grader. Well, how about this one? Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Not this student. This student said, looks dirty. That makes sense. Or how about this one? When the blind leads the blind. I don't know this one either. But this student said, just get out of the way. Or how about this one? A penny saved is? A penny earned. This student said, not much. And this one is my favorite. Better late than? Never. This student said, right on. Grade 1. Can you imagine? What were you thinking? Here's a quiz for you. What happens when a child has way too much time on their hands, a green grapefruit, a camera, a very patient cat? Don't do this at home. Answer? What were you thinking? I truly believe that if we could read a child's mind, deep down, I think that child is asking, who cares? Who cares? Who cares enough to show me that your words are backed up by action? Our children are watching our every move, our every action. And they are seeing if our words are backed up by their actions. I learned this valuable lesson when I was a baby. My mother told me that I was the prettiest baby in the world. How many of you were told you were the prettiest baby in the world? Okay, 2 of you. Okay, 3. Sorry, Ken, I didn't mean to get young. And 4. Okay, right here. Okay, how many of you were ever a baby? I'm glad some hands are going up. I am so proud of the fact that my mother told me that I was the prettiest baby in the world. I brought a picture to prove it. That's not actually a picture of me, but it's close. As I went to school, it didn't get much better. I wasn't terribly good looking, which meant I was a target for bullies. I lived 5 minutes away from my school. It usually took me a half an hour. I was either taking the long way around, or I was being beaten up by a bully. On top of that, I wasn't the brightest crayon in the box. I failed grade 3. My average in high school was 64. I remember parent-teacher interviews. Mr. Jones was showing my parents my dismal marks. He looked at my parents, he looked at me and said, "There is good news." My parents looked up in shock. I waited in anticipation. Yes, finally, there's good news. He looked at my parents and said, "Well, at least we know he's not cheating." Growing up, I've had a lot of tough times, but I do remember the adults that taught me, whether it be family or my teachers or adults that taught me while growing up that their words were backed up by their actions. Their words were backed up by their actions. And when I got into the job force, I've been a teacher for 31 years, been a parent for almost 30. I learned some valuable tools, but I forgot them. I forgot that valuable tool. Because after we get into jobs, how many can relate? Our plates get full. Raise your hand if your plates get full. Well, my plate got full, and I forgot about that lesson. And it took a little boy by the name of Timmy to remind me of that valuable lesson. Timmy was a grade 5, while I was the vice principal in that school. Every morning he was standing at my door in trouble again. He would always begin by saying, "Here's the thing, Mr. Grondin." Being the vice principal, I didn't have time for this. My plate was full. I said, "Timmy, what did you do now?" "Here's the thing, Mr. Grondin. My teacher yelled out that she was going to get ugly. All I said was, too late." At the end of the day, Timmy rushed to get onto his bus. He hid behind the seat, and he waited until this big, burly, mountain of a boy was making his way to the back of the bus. Timmy timed it just right. He clenched his fist, and he hit that boy as hard as he possibly could, right where it hurt. That boy danced like a ballerina. You could say auditioning for the Nutcracker. If you didn't get that one, I'll explain it to you afterwards. I called Timmy's father, informed him I was going to suspend Timmy for 5 days. I didn't have time for this. My plate was full. When Timmy came back to school, I said, "Timmy, what were you thinking?" "Here's the thing, Mr. Grondin. That guy beats me up every day." "Is he bothering you now?" He smiled, looked at me and said, "Not anymore, Mr. Grondin. Not anymore." Every year, we help families in need. Timmy's family was one. I asked the committee why. Timmy's dad was a single parent with 4 children, constantly searching for work. When there was no money, there was no food. Timmy lived in a home that had no central heat. During the winter, Father would have to steal wood from his neighbors, put it in the fireplace to keep everyone warm. I have to admit, I felt so ashamed of myself. The next morning, I went to Timmy's classroom. I pulled him out of the classroom. I said, "Timmy, how are you doing?" He looked at me nervously. He says, "Mr. Grondin, what are you doing here?" "Here's the thing, Timmy. I thought I would come and visit you before you visit me in the office." I made Timmy a promise that if he said, "Mr. Grondin, how are you feeling?" I would do a happy dance that I created just for students. To show you what I mean, on 3, I want you all to yell out, "Mr. Grondin, how are you feeling?" 1, 2, 3.
Mr. Grondin, how are you feeling?
I feel good. Oh, I feel so good. Huh? Oh, I feel so, oh, I feel so, oh, I feel so good. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. To think I could be teaching your children. I was in the mall one day. and into the public washroom. Timmy saw me going into the public washroom. Okay, some of you are getting ahead of me here. He opened the door, yelled, "Mr. Grondin, how are you feeling?" Really, what he's asking me, will my actions back up my words? I proceeded to do my happy dance. When I got to the point of, oh yeah, a gentleman walked in, took one look at me, shook his head, and walked straight out. When I came out of the washroom, there was Timmy, laughing hysterically. He said, "Mr. Grondin, that was awesome." Gave me a high five. Over time, Timmy started to dance with me. And the more we danced, the less he was sent to the office. But I couldn't help but notice he was always looking down at the ground. One day he came up to me and he had a nickel in his hand. And he says, "Mr. Grondin, do you have 10 cents? I said, "Timmy, I'll make you a deal. You give me that nickel and I will give you whatever's in my pocket." He said, "Really?" I said, "Yes." I pulled out 25 cents. He said, "Wow," it looked like he struck gold. What he was really saying is, will your actions back up your words? We exchanged. I was a nickel richer. Well, wait a minute, no I wasn't. I was 20 cents in the hole.
Yeah.
Weeks later, the bell rang for the children to be dismissed for Christmas break. The school was major mayhem. All of a sudden, I heard this voice, Mr. Grondin, wait up, wait up!" And there was Timmy, trying desperately to get to me. I said, "Slow down, Timmy. What's the problem?" And he hands me this plastic bag. It says, "Merry Christmas, Mr. Grondin." And I reached in, and I pulled out this exact plate with a sticker, 25 cents. This was a boy that had nothing. Plate empty. Yet he found room in his heart to buy me a Christmas present. My eyes started to tear. And without warning, I felt these little arms wrapped around me with the words, "Merry Christmas, Mr. Grondin. Merry Christmas." In our lifetime, there will be many people like Timmy standing at our doors, holding an empty plate. And we will be tempted to say, "I don't have time for this. My plate is full." Timmy taught me that it's not so much how full our plates are as it is what we fill our plates with. He also taught me that I probably should never do the happy dance in the public washrooms again. But what he really taught me was that here's the thing that should determine what goes on our plates. You see, ladies and gentlemen, actions speak louder than words, and the reason why I'm challenging this is that we will be in situations where we might have the urge to maybe show another person that finger through frustration. I urge you to not do that, because make no mistake about it, our children are watching our every action, and thus they should. And when our actions back up our words, I would change this particular quote to, "Our words speak loudest when backed up by our actions." And ladies and gentlemen, if we can do that in front of our children, we would have taught them integrity. We would have taught them integrity. And wouldn't that be a wonderful gift to give our children? Thank you.